Good afternoon. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India raises Ukraine conflict at the UN, says no solution on battlefield, cites collateral consequences like rising fuel and food costs. Any Western troops in Ukraine legitimate targets, asserts Russian President Putin, as Kiev's Western allies commit to troop presence in case of a peace deal. Anutin Charnvirakul, elected new Prime Minister of Thailand, replaces Paetongtarn Shinawatra, ousted by court over unethical conduct. Congo declares fresh outbreak of deadly Ebola virus with 28 suspected cases and 15 deaths. This is Central African nation's 16th Ebola outbreak. India has extended support for an early end to the Ukraine conflict. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, P. Harish, speaking at the UN General Assembly on Thursday, reaffirmed India's stance of dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward to end the conflict. The Indian envoy further said New Delhi stands ready to support diplomatic efforts for an early end to the conflict, which is in the interest of everyone.
India continues to remain concerned over the situation in Ukraine. We maintain that the loss of innocent lives is unacceptable and no solution can be found on the battlefield. India has consistently advocated that the path of dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward to end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, no matter how insurmountable such a course may appear. The wholehearted participation and commitment of all stakeholders are critical for lasting peace. Mr. President, India welcomes recent positive developments in this direction. We endorse the summit meeting in Alaska between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. We appreciate the progress made at the Alaska summit. We also note the subsequent diplomatic efforts by the US President in engaging with Ukrainian President and European leaders in Washington, D.C. Prime Minister Narendra Modi remains in touch with President Putin, President Zelensky, and European leadership on the evolving situation. We believe all these diplomatic efforts hold the promise of bringing to an end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and opening up prospects for a lasting peace.
Ambassador Harish also drew attention to the collateral impact of the conflict, particularly rising fuel and food prices that disproportionately affect the global south.
We continue to note with regret the collateral consequences of the conflict, including prices of fuel, affecting the world at large, and particularly the countries of the global south, which have been left to fend for themselves. From our perspective, it is critical that their voices are heard and their legitimate concerns duly addressed. India's approach to the Ukraine conflict continues to be people-centric, providing humanitarian assistance to Ukraine and economic support to our friends and partners in the global south, including some of our neighbors who are facing economic distress. To conclude, Mr. President, an early end to the conflict in Ukraine is in the interest of everyone.
Meanwhile, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, in a telephonic conversation with his Ukrainian counterpart Andrei Sybiha, affirmed an early end to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The two leaders discussed bilateral cooperation as well as the Ukraine conflict. Dr. Jaishankar told his Ukrainian counterpart that India supports an early end to the 2.5-year-old conflict and the establishment of an enduring peace. Ukraine Foreign Minister Sybiha also posted on social media platform X, saying that Ukraine relies on India's, he says, authoritative voice and active support in broader international peace efforts. He further says the talks also mention strengthening Ukraine-India partnership and further implementation of agreements reached by Prime Minister Modi and Ukraine's President Zelensky. The two leaders also agreed to meet during the UNGA high-level week in New York and continue the tangible development of our bilateral relations including in political dialogue, upcoming high-level contacts, economic cooperation, technology and other areas. Earlier on Thursday, Kiev's European allies in Paris summit have pledged to provide security guarantees to Ukraine after the peace deal is reached. French President Emmanuel Macron told reporters 26 Western allies have formally committed to deploying troops by land, sea or air to Ukraine the day after a ceasefire deal is agreed.
"26 countries have committed themselves to deploying troops in Ukraine as a reassurance force or to being present on ground, at sea or in the air to provide this reassurance to Ukrainian territory and to Ukraine the day after the ceasefire or peace."
The meeting of 35 leaders from what is called the Coalition of the Willing of mainly European countries was intended to finalize security guarantees. US contributions to the guarantees would be finalized in the coming days. We're now taking you live to the MEA press conference.
Before that, sorry, before I open the floor, I have an announcement to make. So let me first make the announcement. This is about the visit of the Prime Minister of Mauritius to India. The Prime Minister of Mauritius, His Excellency Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam, will undertake a state visit to India from 9 to 16th of September 2025. This will be the first overseas bilateral visit of Prime Minister Dr. Ramgoolam to India in his present term. You would recall that Prime Minister Ramgoolam had earlier visited India in 2014 to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. During this visit to India of Dr. Ramgoolam, he will, apart from Delhi, he'll also visit Mumbai, Varanasi, Ayodhya and Tirupati. In Mumbai, he'll be attending a business event. More details of the visit you can see in the press release that we are going to issue shortly. So with that, now I open the floor for questions.
Sir, Kadambini Sharma, independent journalist. अभी कुछ ही मिनट पहले अमेरिकी राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप का एक ट्वीट आया है, एक पोस्ट उन्होंने किया है सोशल मीडिया पर. उन्होंने लिखा है कि लुक्स लाइक वी हैव लॉस्ट इंडिया एंड रशिया टू डीपेस्ट डार्केस्ट चाइना. मे दे हैव अ लॉन्ग एंड प्रॉस्परस फ्यूचर टुगेदर. प्रेसिडेंट डोनाल्ड जे ट्रंप. इस पर आपकी पहली प्रतिक्रिया.
Okay. Siddhant.
Hi sir, I'm Siddhant from Lyon. Sir, on 31st of August, we saw massive protests in Australia. And they singled out Indians. The poster said that there are more Indians coming to Australia than Greeks and Italians. What do you have to say, your reaction to it, and essentially Indians being singled out in Australia?
Okay. Madhu.
सर मधुरेंद्र, मैं न्यूज़ नेशन से. जैसा कि अभी भी ट्रूथ सोशल पर ट्रंप ने लिखा कि भारत अब उनके हाथ से निकल चुका है और वो चीन और रूस के साथ जा चुका है. इस पर आपकी क्या प्रतिक्रिया है? और मेरा दूसरा सवाल यह है कि चीन के साथ भारत के संबंधों को देखें अगर पीएम की विजिट के बाद, तो क्या कोई बॉर्डर टॉक्स को लेकर आगे बढ़ती हुई चीज़ दिखाई दे रही है? और क्या कोई संभावनाएं दिख रही है कि भारत और चीन के जो सामरिक संबंध हैं वो पटरी पर लौटेंगे?
प्रणय.
सर, अमेरिका से काफी विरोधाभासी बयान. प्रणय उपाध्याय हूं, इंडिया टुडे आज तक से. और मेरा सवाल है कि अमेरिका से काफी विरोधाभासी बयान आ रहे हैं. एक तरफ पीटर नवारो जो है रूस यूक्रेन की लड़ाई को मोदी का युद्ध कहते हैं. स्कॉट बेसेंट कहते हैं कि दोनों ही परिपक्व लोकतंत्र हैं, हम अपने विवादों को सुलझा लेंगे. डोनाल्ड ट्रंप कहते हैं कि ये रिलेशनशिप खो चुकी है अब. तो भारत अमेरिका के साथ संबंधों को किस तरीके से देखता है उस रणनीतिक साझेदारी में, तब जबकि हमारी फोर्सेस उनके साथ जॉइंट युद्धाभ्यास भी कर रही हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें अमेरिका के साथ चल रही हैं. इस संबंध को जोड़ने और बनाए रखने के लिए भारत की तरफ से क्या प्रयास हैं?
Okay. Aishi.
So this is Aisha from ANI. The Prime Minister of Nepal, during a meeting with Chinese President Xi in Tianjin, has once again objected to India restarting trade through the Lipu Lake Pass, saying that the territory belongs to Nepal. Any comments on such objections?
Okay, first let me come to Kadambini, your question regarding the post. I have no comments to offer on this post at this point. मधु, ये आपका सवाल भी इस पे था, तो इस पे हमारे पास अभी टिप्पणी करने के लिए कुछ नहीं है। इनका मैं बाद में जवाब देता हूँ। Siddhant, your question regarding the protests that we saw in Australia. We all are aware that anti-immigrant protests happened in several cities in Australia on 31st of August. Our High Commissioner and our Consulates General in Australia, they were in regular touch with the Australian government, as also with our community members in this regard. As you know that we have a large diaspora in Australia, almost about 1 million. Before the protest took place, our High Commission conveyed whatever concerns that were shared with them by the Indian community members to the Australian government. In response, we actually received a formal response from the Australian side, where they acknowledged that the protests in Australia may be of concern for Australia's diverse communities. At the same time, you would have seen that senior leaders and politicians, both from the Australian government side and also from the opposition side, they have issued statements supporting the multicultural identity of Australia. They've also recognized the role played by the Indian Australian community in the overall progress and development of Australia, and they appreciate and acknowledge this role very much. On our side, we continue to firmly believe that diversity is strength. We value a comprehensive strategic partnership with Australia, of which our people-to-people ties are a very important element, and in fact, it bolsters our strategic ties. And the Government of India remains committed to securing the welfare and well-being of all Indians abroad, and we are in touch with the Australian government, as also with our diaspora organization in Australia in regard to the developments that are happening. जैसा कि आपको ज्ञात होगा कि 31 अगस्त को ऑस्ट्रेलिया के कई शहरों में विरोध प्रदर्शन हुए, एंटी इमिग्रेशन विरोध प्रदर्शन हुए। हमारे जो उच्च आयोग वहाँ हैं और हमारे जो कौंसुलावास, कई एक कौंसुलावास जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में है, इस मुद्दे पर, इस मसले पर वहाँ के सरकार के साथ और वहाँ के भारतीय समुदाय के साथ इस पर संपर्क बनाए रखा है उन्होंने। और प्रोटेस्ट जब विरोध प्रदर्शन हुआ उससे पहले भी जो उनसे जो साझा किया गया चिंताएं हमारे समाज की, वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया सरकार के सामने में हम लोगों ने रखा। हम लोगों को ऑस्ट्रेलिया सरकार की तरफ से जवाब आया कि वो मानते हैं कि ये चिंताएं, ये प्रोटेस्ट को लेके, विरोध प्रदर्शन को लेके जो चिंताएं हैं वहाँ के अलग अलग समुदाय के लोगों के लिए वो एक मसला है। और आपने देखा होगा कि वहाँ पर बहुत सारे राजनेतागण, साथ ही में जो सीनियर लीडर्स हैं दोनों तरफ से, सरकार की तरफ से और विपक्ष की तरफ से, उन्होंने कई एक स्टेटमेंट जारी किया है, ये कहते हुए कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया एक बहुसांस्कृतिक समाज है, मल्टीकल्चरल समाज है और उसमें हर पक्ष का, हर समुदाय का योगदान है। उन्होंने भारतीय समुदाय की जो वहाँ पर कंट्रीब्यूशन है, जो योगदान है, उसको उन्हें सराहा और साथ ही में उसको स्वीकार भी किया है। हमारे तरफ से ये मानना है कि विविधता हमारे समाज का और किसी भी समाज का एक स्ट्रेंथ होता है, एक उसको मजबूती प्रदान करता है। और जहाँ तक ऑस्ट्रेलिया और भारत के साझेदारी का सवाल है, जो कि कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है, इसको हम और मजबूत करना चाहते हैं और इसमें जो दोनों देशों के बीच में जो गठजोड़ है लोगों के बीच में, वो इसको मजबूती प्रदान करता है। भारत सरकार अपनी तरफ से प्रतिबद्ध है कि भारतीय नागरिक और भारतीय समुदाय जो बाहर रहते हैं उनके कल्याण के लिए वो हमेशा प्रतिबद्ध है और काम करता रहेगा। अभी के जो विरोध प्रदर्शन हुए ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, उसमें हम भारतीय वहाँ के सरकार के साथ और वहाँ के समुदाय के साथ संपर्क बनाए हुए हैं। मधु, ऑन इंडिया भारत चीन के बातचीत के बारे में, देखिए भारत और चीन के रिश्तों में कई एक, अभी आपने देखा होगा, कई एक मुलाकातें हुई हैं, लीडर लेवल पे हुई है। तियानजिन में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री की मुलाकात वहाँ के राष्ट्रपति शी जिनपिंग से हुई। मुलाकात के बाद हम लोगों ने एक प्रेस विज्ञप्ति जारी किया और काफ़ी मतलब डिटेल्ड में प्रेस विज्ञप्ति, उसमें हर मुद्दों पर बात रखी गई है। और जैसा कि उस प्रेस विज्ञप्ति में आप देखेंगे कि हम लोगों ने इस बात का, दोनों नेताओं ने इस बात का स्वागत किया है कि एक इस रिश्ते में एक पॉजिटिव मोमेंटम और स्टडी प्रोग्रेस बना हुआ है। तो मैं चाहूँगा कि आपका नज़र इस प्रेस विज्ञप्ति पे आप लाएं ताकि और भी जो डिटेल में हम लोगों ने बातें रखी हैं उसको आप बेहतर समझ पाएंगे। प्रणय, पीटर नवारो के कमेंट के बारे में हम लोगों ने कुछ गलत और गुमराह करने वाले कमेंट या स्टेटमेंट श्री नवारो की तरफ से देखा है, और साथ ही साथ हम ये कहना चाहते हैं कि ये हमारे लिए अस्वीकारनीय है, इसको हम अस्वीकार करते हैं। We have seen the inaccurate and misleading statements made by Mr. Navarro, and obviously we reject them. As far as India-United States relations are concerned, प्रणय, ये हम लोगों ने पहले भी कहा है कि दोनों देशों के बीच में एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव ग्लोबल स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है, और हम चाहते हैं कि इस पार्टनरशिप को जो मुद्दे तैयार किए गए हमारे बीच में, एक सब्सटेंटिव एजेंडा जिसको बनाया गया है, उस पर काम करके हम इसको आगे ले जाएं, दोनों देशों के बीच में एक आपसी समझ के साथ, दोनों के शेयर्ड इंटरेस्ट के साथ, और साथ ही साथ म्यूचुअल रिस्पेक्ट के साथ। Sorry. We have also, spoken about it earlier also. This relationship between United States and India is very important for us. Both our countries, we share a comprehensive global strategic partnership, which is anchored in our shared interests, democratic values, and robust people-to-people ties. This partnership has weathered several transitions, as I said before, and challenges. We remain focused on the substantive agenda that our two countries have committed to, and we hope that the relationship will continue to move forward based on mutual respect and shared interests. As you would have seen, प्रणय, आपका मैं ध्यान लाना चाहूँगा, युद्धाभ्यास चल रहा है अलास्का में, साथ ही साथ कुछ दिन पहले 2+2 का इंटरसेशनल मीटिंग हुआ था, एक और डेलीगेशन, एक दल आया था डिफेंस पॉलिसी ग्रुप का अभी कुछ दिन पहले। तो दोनों देशों के बीच में आवाजाही, दोनों देशों के बीच में बातचीत चल रही है, और हम प्रतिबद्ध हैं कि इस साझेदारी को और मजबूत करें। Yashi, your question regarding the statements that were made by Nepal on the border issue. On 20th August, if I recollect correctly, we had issued a statement clearly stating what our position is, and I would therefore like to draw your attention to a statement. Can we move forward? Shivam?
Thank you, sir. This is Shivam Patel from Reuters News. I had a query about the SCO summit in Tianjin. In the joint statement, there's a mention that interested parties agreed to establish an SCO development bank. Is India one of the interested parties? Could you also shed some light on the mandate of this bank? And is the ultimate goal the creation of an independent financial system? Thank you.
Yeshi?
This is Yeshi Seli from Business India. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal just 2 days back had said that the bilateral trade agreement is likely to happen and negotiations are going on. In that context, given that background, President Trump's statement, is that going to be a spanner in the works? And secondly, are we going to be optimistic of having a Quad summit this year? And can I have if you permit, can I ask another question? A lot of countries are reaching out to India to intervene end the conflict in Ukraine. Is there something that India is going to do, considering the fact that we are close to Russia as well?
Uma Shankar Singh, independent journalist. मेरा सवाल ये है कि कल ईयू की तरफ से 2 बयान आए जिसमें ये कहा गया कि भारत का रोल काफ़ी अहम है यूक्रेन रूस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को ख़त्म करने के लिए। मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या भारत कोई एक्टिव रोल प्ले कर रहा है? बयान तो भारत की तरफ से लगातार आ रहे हैं कि युद्ध का काल नहीं है और डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी के जरिए मामले को सुलझाने की जरूरत है, लेकिन क्या पर्दे के पीछे कोई एक्टिव रोल भारत की तरफ से निभाया जा रहा है?
अजय।
So good afternoon, Ajay Banerjee from the Tribune this side. Though you have answered what Donald Trump has said, you have answered to that. I'm not on that. But Trump has mentioned that India has been lost to China. Are you comfortable with this clubbing with China?
Okay. Sandra.
Could you perhaps, this time I won't forget to introduce myself. I'm Sandra Petersmann from DW Germany. Could you perhaps shed some light on the proposed BRICS virtual summit on Monday that President Lula of Brazil called for? Okay. Will it happen and will PM Modi participate?
Okay. So first, Shivam, on your question regarding SCO Development Bank, which has a mention in the joint statement, in the Tianjin Declaration. At this point in time, or at this stage, we are examining the proposal. Further, in relation to your other part of the question, we don't have any details to share at this point. Ishi, we've said this before as well. We continue to remain engaged with the US side on trade issues. On Quad Summit, we see the Quad as a valuable forum for discussion among the 4 member countries on shared interests on several issues. The Leaders Summit, as you know, it is scheduled through diplomatic consultations among the member countries, that is among the 4 countries. As far as the Ukraine conflict is concerned, we welcome all the recent efforts towards establishing peace in Ukraine. We hope that all parties will proceed ahead constructively. India supports an early end of the conflict and the establishment of an enduring peace. That also answers your question, Uma. यूक्रेन के मुद्दे पर आपने देखा होगा कई एक सारी बातचीत हुई है प्रधानमंत्री और दुनिया के अलग-अलग लीडरों के साथ। उसके बाद हम लोगों ने प्रेस विज्ञप्ति भी जारी की है और जहां तक यूक्रेन के हमारा पोजीशन का सवाल है, ये हमने आपको बताया है कि जो भी अभी के एफर्ट्स चल रहे हैं जो वहां पर शांति बहाल करने के लिए, उसका हम लोग स्वागत करते हैं और हमारा ये मानना है कि जो भी पार्टीज हैं उसमें इस मुद्दे पर आगे बढ़ेंगे एक कंस्ट्रक्टिव अप्रोच के साथ। और जहां तक भारत का सवाल है, भारत इस बात को सपोर्ट करता है कि जल्द से जल्द वहां पर जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है, संघर्ष चल रहा है, वो खत्म हो और वहां पर एक चिरस्थायी शांति का वातावरण बने। Ajay, again, I have already answered your question. I have no comments to offer on the latest post that you referred to. Sandra, on BRICS, yes, the Brazilian chair of BRICS, they've called for a virtual meeting. This virtual meeting will happen on 8th. From our side, it will be the External Affairs Minister who will be participating in it. This BRICS summit is at the leaders level. Okay, Kalol and Swasti.
So on India-US relation, we often heard that the relation was based on shared values like democracy, respect for human rights, etc. So what sort of common values do we have with China? What is really the common value that's tying India and China together right now?
Swasti.
This is Sahasini Heather from The Hindu. I had 2 specific questions. One, has India invited the Taliban's acting foreign minister, Motaki, to India and applied to the United Nations for sanctions waivers to bring him here, which has now been refused, as is being reported, and whether that signifies that India is shifting its position on recognition of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. My second question is, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar spoke at the press conference along with the German Foreign Minister and said he had raised the issue of Ariha Shah's linguistic, cultural, religious rights. It's been 3 years since he said he had spoken to the previous German Foreign Minister about it. We understand that there is still no teacher for the language, for any Indian language for Ariha Shah. It's 3 years later. Has India failed to express or to have the German government completely understand its concerns on the issue? And what kind of action can India take, given that it's been 3 years?
Jessica.
This is Jessica Taneja for DD India. So there was a Bloomberg report which stated that President Xi had sent a secret letter to President of India in March stating that India-US trade deal will be detrimental to Sino-India relations. Can the MEA confirm?
Okay. Mukesh.
Sir, this is Mukesh Kaushik from Dainik Bhaskar. I'm not insisting that you should comment on Donald Trump, what Donald Trump said about China and India. I'm asking whether India, as a return gesture, would wish President Donald Trump and his terrorist friend Pakistan a long and disastrous future together.
Rishabh.
So good evening, Rishabh from Times Now. So since IWT is in abeyance, there is flood situation on borders, specifically in the Punjab area. Has India been sharing the floodwater situation with Pakistan, and what is the mechanism being used for that? Also, sir, are we looking at any Quad, meeting on the sidelines of UNGA as well, given that leaders from all the 4 countries would be there?
Okay, Kalol, on India-China ties. See, we have given you detailed readout of the meetings that have happened. Those readouts, they talk about all the linkages that we have, the kind of issues that are part of India-China dialogue and discussion. So I would refer you to please have a look at the press releases, not just the one that was issued in Tianjin, but apart from that, we also had a press readout of External Affairs Ministers meeting with the Foreign Minister of China. We also had a detailed press readout of SR level talks. So all those will give you, all that forms part of the India-China bilateral agenda at this point in time. Suhasini, your question regarding the proposed visit. As I have said this before also, and you are aware, we have long-standing ties with the people of Afghanistan. We continue to support the aspirations and development needs of the Afghan people. We also continue to have engagements with Afghan authorities. If there is any update on this account, we will surely update you or share with you. On the Ariha Shah case, yes, this was raised when the External Affairs Minister was here. The Foreign Minister of Germany was here. As it was also raised when taken up when External Affairs Minister visited Germany. We have had progress in this matter. We will shortly give you more details on that. But to tell you that the government attaches high importance to this particular matter. We have had consular visits. The embassy has been engaged with her, provided her books. We have arranged temple visits, and we are doing several other things to ensure that her upbringing happens in a cultural environment that is conducive to her and for her full growth and development. So on some of the things where progress has been made, I will surely inform you on that account. Jessica, Your question was on the Bloomberg report. We have seen that report and can confirm that the story of the letter is incorrect. I would also, at the same time, we would urge all our media friends here to exercise due responsibility in your reporting. मुकेश जी, आपके सवाल का जवाब आपका जवाब है आपके सवाल में ही है, तो मैं आपसे कहूंगा कि आप अपने आप को क्या कह रहे हैं? ये तो आप कह रहे हैं, ये आप कह रहे हैं ना। जो अभी पोस्ट आया उस पर मेरी जो टिप्पणी मुझे करना था मैंने बताया आपको। उसके बाद अगर जो आप कल्पना करना चाहे वो आपकी कल्पना जगत की बात है। ऋषभ, वी हैव बीन शेयरिंग high flood data with Pakistan through our diplomatic channels as and when it is required. This sharing of data is happening through our High Commission in Islamabad. On the UNGA meetings, we will let you know as to what sort of program is being scheduled and inform you, give you an update on that at a subsequent time. Divya.
Sir, Divya from Indian Express. There was a report last week in New York Times which said that President Trump is not visiting India this year. So in that situation, is India open to having Quad Leaders Summit at another location, or is India okay to reschedule it, or go ahead with a lesser representation or alternative representation from the US? Is there any conversation about this? Thank you.
सर, ब्रह्म प्रकाश जी न्यूज़ से मेरा सवाल ये है कि अमेरिका के फॉर्मर एनएसए जॉन बोल्टन ने अभी एक बयान दिया है कि मोदी और ट्रंप के रिश्ते अब खत्म हो चुके हैं 50% टैरिफ के बाद। तो क्या लगता है, क्या भारत के रिश्ते प्रभावित हुए हैं ट्रंप की जिस तरह की बयानबाजी हुई है? जैसे रिश्ते पहले होते थे वो अब बदल चुके हैं, ये माना जाए? क्योंकि एक और बात उन्होंने कही है कि भारत अब रूस और चीन के साथ जा चुका है। थैंक यू।
कृष्णमोहन
सर, मेरा सवाल भी, कृष्णमोहन शर्मा, भारत एक्सप्रेस से। मेरा सवाल भी अमेरिका से है। जेडी वेंस और हमारे पीयूष गोयल साहब दोनों ने कहा कि जितने डिप्लोमेटिक चैनल्स हैं हमारे अभी ओपन है। इस दरमियान एक जिस तरीके से ट्वीट आया है उससे क्या मतलब निकाला जाए? कोई संभावना है अभी, या ट्रेड डील जो है बिल्कुल जैसा है वैसा ही चलता रहेगा?
केशव।
Thank you, sir. Keshav Padmanabhan from the Print. I have two questions. First is on the recent visit by the German foreign minister, and in his comments in the joint press conference, he said he supports the use of sanctions to pressurize Russia, and there have been secondary sanctions on Indian oil firms. Was this strongly raised, given that in the Tianjin Declaration, which India signed on, there was a clear line saying we do not support the use of unilateral sanctions and economic coercion as statecraft. So can you give us a comment on that? And the second question is, there have been reports in Azerbaijan's media that India blocked some sort of application by Baku to the SCO. Can you confirm or deny or state what is India's position with regards to this? Thank you.
Last question. नीरज।
सर, नीरज हूँ, न्यूज 18 इंडिया से। आपने कहा कि पाकिस्तान को हाई कमीशन के जरिए बाढ़ से जुड़ी जानकारियां दी जा रही है। मेरा सवाल यह है कि सिंधु जल समझौता स्थगित है, ऐसे में उच्चायोग के जरिए जानकारी देने का मकसद क्या है, कारण क्या है?
Archis, you had a question? Please.
Archis Mohan from Business Standard. So in the context of Chinese foreign minister's visit to India, we were given to understand that the Chinese side said that they look into our expectations on restoring supply of critical minerals, tunnel boring machines and fertilizers. Has there been any progress, and are we satisfied with whatever progress there's been on that? Thank you.
So Divya, your question is regarding Quad. I would not like to comment on speculative media reports on this issue. As I said, we see the Quad as a valuable forum for discussion on shared interests on number of issues by the member countries. As far as the Leaders Summit is concerned, this is something that is scheduled through diplomatic consultations among the four partners. देखिए, जहाँ तक टैरिफ का सवाल हो या भारत अमेरिकी रिश्ते का सवाल हो, इन दोनों मुद्दे पे हम लोगों ने स्टेटमेंट जारी किया है और मैं चाहूँगा कि आप उस स्टेटमेंट को देखें। टैरिफ के मुद्दे पर हम लोगों ने स्टेटमेंट जारी किया है, एक नहीं है, एक से ज़्यादा किया है। और जहाँ तक रिश्तों की बात है उसके बारे में अभी मैंने खुलासा किया कि किस प्रकार से हम भारत और अमेरिका के रिश्ते को देखते हैं। कृष्ण मोहन जी, आपका सवाल भी भारत और अमेरिका को लेके है, रिश्तों से लेके है। यही मैं कहूँगा, हमने कहा अभी कि एक साझेदारी, एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव पार्टनरशिप है, स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है और इसमें जो सब्सटेंटिव एजेंडा है उसके साथ हम आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं इस बेसिस पे कि दोनों देशों के हितों को रखा जाए और साथ में आपसी दोनों में म्यूचुअल रिस्पेक्ट हो। Keshav, on Azerbaijan, yes, let me clarify. See, the expansion of SCO is an ongoing process. This year, both Armenia and Azerbaijan, they submitted their application for membership of the SCO. Due to time constraint, a decision on this issue could not be taken by the member states in Tianjin. But this particular issue, that is of the membership of both countries, it remains under consideration by the group. On the other question regarding sanctions, see, as and when there is, yes, of course, you know, we do not, that is not our policy to accept unilateral sanctions, but as and when there are sanctions, we have made statements, including the latest one, when Nayara Energy was sanctioned. So I would like to request you to please look at those statements. It will clarify where we stand on these particular matter. नीरज, ये जो हम लोग बाढ़ संबंधित जो डेटा हम पाकिस्तान के साथ साझा कर रहे हैं, ये डिप्लोमेटिक चैनल्स के माध्यम से हो रहा है। तभी मैंने कहा कि ये हाई कमीशन के माध्यम से उनको दिया जा रहा है और ये मानवता के आधार पर दिया जा रहा है। We have been sharing high flood data with Pakistan through our High Commission, through our diplomatic channels. This is being done as and when required. First, you've seen the kind of water that is, rainfall that is happening in that part of India and that part of the world. And this is being done based on humanitarian consideration. With that, oh sorry, Archis, your question. Sudhi, you had a question? Badaiye.
So, Shruti Ranjan, sir, if you could give us an, I mean, we have seen a lot of comments on the H-1B visa coming from the United States, some even calling it a scam that Indian companies have been running. Is there a, response or a statement that you would want to give, sir?
So first, Arjis, your question on the economic issues that you mentioned, there has been progress on some of the restrictions that were there. They have been lifted, and hopefully we'll see more progress in the future. On H-1B visa, look, Sudhi, mobility partnership between India and the United States is an important pillar of this relationship. It supports our technology collaboration, it supports our economic collaboration, it supports several other things that are happening in the space of innovation, new emerging technologies, financial collaboration. We value it, and it is something that brings mutual benefit to both sides. While it creates space for our skilled people to work in the United States It also adds a lot of value to the competitiveness and productivity of American enterprises. It is something that is in mutual benefit. We continue to engage with the United States on mobility issues and see how best we can drive this partnership. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Ajay.
The Assembly is slated 3 weeks from now. Anybody from India will be representing India at the UN General Assembly?
Yes, you know, each year we have Indian delegation participating in UN General Assembly. This year again we'll have an Indian delegation going there. As to who will be leading it, we'll let you know in due time on our participation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation.
That was official spokesperson of the MEA, Randir Jaiswal, interacting with the media. Some of the key issues in focus. There is Mauritius Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam's upcoming state visit to India from 9th to 16th of September that he informed about. There was also reference to anti-immigrant protests in Australia, some of which is also targeting, according to reports, Indians, and those concerns have been shared by the government of India to its Australian counterpart. There's reference to positive momentum in India-China ties in the context of India-United States ties. India has rejected some of the misleading statements made by some sections of the Trump administration. The MEA also spoke about the larger, more comprehensive ties between India and United States continue to remain strong. There are joint defense exercises that are taking place. Also, 2+2 dialogue mechanism continues to work actively. There is also upcoming BRICS virtual summit that was referred to. Those were some of the highlights of the MEA weekly press briefing. We're heading for a short break. There's more coming up after the break.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. US President Donald Trump plans to sign an executive order on Friday to rename the Department of Defense as the Department of War. According to a White House fact sheet, the order would authorize Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, the Defense Department and subordinate officials to use secondary titles such as Secretary of War, Department of War and Deputy Secretary of War in official correspondence and public communications. Since taking office in January, Donald Trump has set out to rename a range of places and institutions, including the Gulf of Mexico, and to restore the original names of military bases that were changed after racial justice protests. According to the order, the name Department of War conveys a stronger message of readiness and resolve compared to Department of Defense, which emphasizes only defensive capabilities. Changing the name again will be costly, will require updating signs and letterheads used not only by officials at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., but also military installations around the world. Health authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo have declared a new outbreak of the Ebola virus. The latest outbreak has killed 16 people so far. 28 suspected cases have been recorded in the central Kasai province. The World Health Organization has said case numbers were likely to increase as transmission was ongoing. Ebola is a rare but often fatal illness in humans. It is transmitted through contact with blood and other bodily fluids. Congo has recorded over a dozen outbreaks, in the last one in 2022 in the Aquatics province. A devastating 2018 to 2020 outbreak killed nearly 2,300 people in the country. Moving on to West Asia now. Israel on Thursday claimed that its forces now control about 40% of the Gaza city. Israeli military spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin in a news conference said forces have seized large parts of the Zaytoun and Sheikh Radwan neighborhoods. He further said the operation will continue to expand and intensify in the coming days. Israeli military spokesperson reiterated that the campaign would only end when Hamas's control was dismantled and Israeli hostages were returned. Israel launched the latest offensive on Gaza City on the 10th of August, describing it as a mission to eliminate Hamas fighters entrenched in the area.
Today we hold 40% of Gaza City. The operation will continue to expand and intensify in the coming days. Hamas will face the Israeli armed forces in their full force in Gaza City. We will increase the pressure on Hamas until it's destroyed. We will continue to pursue them everywhere.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Thursday, Washington has told other countries that recognition of a Palestinian state will cause more problems. Britain, France, Canada, Australia and Belgium have all said they will recognize Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly later this month. The moves are designed to put pressure on Israel to end its assault on Gaza and curtail the building of a new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. Rubio was speaking while on his visit to Ecuador. Rubio also said that he would not opine on Israeli discussion of annexation of West Bank, but that it was not final.
These countries, we told them all. We said, if you guys do this recognition stuff, it's all fake. It's not even real. If you do it, you're going to create big problems. There's going to be a response from Israel. You're going to make it harder to get a ceasefire. And it may even trigger these sorts of actions that you've seen, or at least these attempts at these actions.
In other news, Boom Jetai party leader Anutin Chanvirakul has been elected as the next Prime Minister of Thailand after parliamentary voting on Friday. His election ends the ongoing political chaos in Thailand after the dismissal of former PM Paetongtarn Shinawatra. The opposition People's Party backed Anutin's candidature in return for his promise to dissolve the parliament within 4 months. 58-year-old politician, who was also the deputy PM under the ruling coalition led by Paetongtarn's Pheu Thai party, had split earlier in June. This came after the then Prime Minister Shinawatra leaked phone call with former Cambodian leader Hun Sen on border disputes. He had also served as Minister of Public Health in Prayut Chan-o-cha's government from 2019 to 23 and as Interior Minister in the Pheu Thai-led government since 2023. Thailand has been reeling under political chaos after Constitutional Court dismissed Paetongtarn Shinawatra last month. Shinawatra was removed on the grounds of ethics violation. Argentina's Congress on Thursday, for the first time, overturned a veto issued by President Javier Milei, raising the stakes for the libertarian leader as the country heads into consequential legislative elections. The vote by the opposition-controlled Senate, which was 63 votes in favor, 7 against, was the final push to overrule Milei's veto of a bill that increases spending and protections for people with disabilities. The lower house in August first voted to overturn the veto. Milei, who currently has a small minority in the Congress, needs to increase his seats to be able to keep his policies on track. The last time Congress overturned a full presidential veto was in 2003 under President Eduardo Duhalde. Czech opposition politician Andres Babiš launched his party's election campaign on Thursday, taking aim at the government of Prime Minister Petr Fiala and the European Union. Babiš said a government under ANO would be a defense against nonsense from Brussels. He also pledged to stop sending weapons to Ukraine. Opinion polls for next month's parliamentary election show ANO winning the most votes with over 30%. This time, as many as 7 parties could exceed the 5% threshold to win seats in the parliament. meaning the next government is almost certain to be a coalition. The vote is scheduled for 3rd to 4th October. Recovery operations continue into the early hours of Friday after a Lisbon funicular rail hurled off the track and into a building, killing 16 people, injuring 22. Workers removed 2 yellow tram-like carriages from a steep hillside in the Portuguese capital after an incident that took place on Wednesday. Authorities on Thursday said investigation is underway on what caused the funicular rail, popular with tourists, to crash. Flags flew at half-staff and people left flowers at the site of the crash as Portugal declared a day of mourning. The Pope sent condolences and blessings to victims, relatives and rescuers. Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa and Prime Minister Luís Montenegro visited the site of the funicular accident in Lisbon. Portugal, and Lisbon in particular, has experienced a tourism boom in the past decade, with visitors cramming the popular downtown area in the summer months. Afghanistan continues to reel under earthquakes as multiple tremors hit the nation in a span of 12 hours. According to German Research Center for Geosciences, a 5.4 magnitude earthquake shook the southeast region on Friday morning, hours after one late on Thursday night. The latest aftershocks triggered fears of more deaths and destruction in the region, where about 2,200 people died in quakes just 4 days ago. Moving on, every year on September 5th, India celebrates Teachers' Day to honor the role of these special educators in the lives of numerous students and even parents. To mark the occasion, President Draupadi Murmu paid floral tributes to Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, former President of India, on whose birth anniversary Children's Day is observed. Teachers' Day is observed. Also, President Draupadi Murmu honored educators with National Teachers Awards 2025, recognizing their dedication, innovation and service to education. Addressing the gathering, President Murmu highlighted that teachers and their behavior is what guides the students.
शिक्षकों का आचरण विद्यार्थियों का मार्गदर्शन करता है। प्राचीन काल में जो भारत को विश्वगुरु माना जाता था, तो के शिक्षा संबंधी नैतिक आदर्श आज के संदर्भ में भी उतने ही उपयोगी है। एक अच्छे शिक्षक में भावना और बुद्धि दोनों पक्ष प्रबल होते हैं।
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his greetings on Teachers' Day. Sharing on X, he says, and I quote, "Wishing everyone, particularly all hard-working teachers, a very happy Teachers' Day. The dedication of teachers to nurturing minds is the foundation of a stronger and brighter future. Their commitment and compassion are noteworthy. We also remember the life and thoughts of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, distinguished scholar and a teacher, on his birth anniversary." And renowned sound artist Sudarshan Patnaik paid tributes to former President Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan on Teachers' Day by creating a sand sculpture at the Puri beach. The Padma Shri awardee Patnaik expressed his respect for all teachers, saying, "Today, as we celebrate Teachers' Day, I pay tributes to Dr. Radhakrishnan. Through this art, I extend my deepest respect to all teachers on this special day." In sports, India's Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Mansukh Mandavia unveiled the logo and mascot Jalveer in New Delhi on Friday for the 11th Asian Aquatics Championship. The championship will take place from 1st to 15th October in Ahmedabad. Swimmers from Japan, South Korea are expected to compete at the continental meet, marking the tournament's first edition in the country. The championship will feature swimming, diving, artistic swimming and water polo. The 10th Asian Age Group Championship in 2019 was the last international swimming event hosted by India. Sports Minister posted on X, and I quote, "Congratulations to the Swimming Federation of India and the Government of Gujarat for their dedicated efforts in bringing this prestigious event to Bharat. Under leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Bharat is emerging as a global sporting destination equipped with world-class facilities and an inspiring ecosystem for athletes." unquote. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.